hello. I would say a big hello from the city of Milan. In a symbolic gesture, I'm recording this video beside an artificial, river, or you can call it a lake, on the very outskirts of Milan. When I look at, streams of water, rivers that flow, my mind goes to the fountain of life. The fountain of life. Of course, by now we should know that the very things we see in our physical environment are actually pointers to the invisible things of God. Okay, so in reality, there exists a river of life. There exists a flow in the invisible dimension of God. And that flow is nothing but the knowledge of I am. The knowledge of I am. Okay? And this is the only thing that can wipe away any type of pain, any type of sorrow, and the thing that can usher in healing onto the nations. Okay, there's no other place a man can obtain, divine healing except he receives of the flow of the knowledge of the divine I. The divine I is a capital I. Okay? Which is a pointer or a reminder of my very true self that is undefiled by the numerous factors that we see in this world around us. Okay? Every man ought to pray. Every man ought to meditate. And what is your prayer and what is your meditation? Your meditation is in the knowledge of I. Okay? That is what can lift you up out of any type of distress. Okay? That is what can loosen you from fear, the worries that you have in this present world that we live in. Okay, the knowledge of I. The doctors in the hospital can do their part. Okay, your methods of diet, can do their part. But for an everlasting solution, every man has to meditate on the I am, the divine I. Okay? Now, those of you who are familiar with the story of Moses, you notice that Moses, who manifested, exceeding power and glory, who did very great works in this physical dimension, could do this because he had that moment of interaction with the divine I. Okay? The first step to true wholesomeness, the first step to the victory is first of all letting go of the sensation of the little I that is down there in this world. It will mean a literal turning your back on this world that we live in. Now, realize that this physical plane is a temporal plane. Okay, it looks very real, but it is not the real deal. Okay, Moses, 40 years in the wilderness, is a period of meditation, is a period of prayer, it's a period of seeking. Okay, he does this alone. Moses separates himself from his friends, from his family. Moses separates himself from all those he knew just to appear before that burning bush, that a voice came out saying, I am that I am. Okay? Now, this is the thing that every man ought to do, because that is what sets you free. The knowledge of I. All a man needs to do by faith, stand before that divine tree of life. Okay, that tree that was burning and was not consumed represents a divine eternal tree. It represents something that remains eternal, something that is unchangeable, something that remains throughout all eternity. It represents the divine I. You see, and you notice that the divine I, in the midst of the burning bush or the tree, okay, the shrub, is actually a picture of you in God. I am the tree, I am the vine, you are the branches. I am the divine candlestick, and you are the branches. I and God are one. Okay, that is the precious knowledge that you have to meditate on day and night. Get grafted back into that divine tree. It means that I am unchangeable. I continue on from age to age. It means that I am divine. I am immortal. It means that my true self can never die. It means that all things are mine and nothing is ever lost. If you meditate on the divine I, you expand from your finite human existence into the existence of the one that fills all in all. This is your fast. This is your prayer. This is your meditation to remember your divine self. The divine I, or the knowledge of my true self, it's a knowledge that I and I alone know for myself. It's not a knowledge for this world down there, so never expect anyone to understand what you are doing. Okay, if you have a condition in your body, something is not functioning well, something has gone wrong in your body, enter within and get connected in meditation of the divine I that can never die. Okay? Some of you standing here will never die. And that is you. You that have left human sense and united yourself with the knowledge of the divine I. It will cast away all fear. Fear of death. Worries for family members, for loved ones. Fears of tomorrow. Where I am, what will I be, what will I eat? All those worries are cast out with the knowledge of the divine I that I am. So what I just need to do is to stand and receive, because the I speaks through the universe. It echoes in everything. If the antenna of my comprehension, my ears are opened, I hear the voice of the I, even in the creation. Everything is testifying and reminding you of the divine I. In the divine I, there is no condemnation. Every man has free access to the divine I. The gates are wide open, and anybody who asks receives. Anybody who seeks finds. But the price that I must pay for this excellent knowledge is to let go of the little I. The little I, that is the human sense, has to be consumed in the knowledge of the divine I, so that my mortal existence no more is that real life, but a life that has been even before time. That is the life by which I live. The divine I is what will heal you of past hurts, past pains. Oh, my mother, my dad, they passed away, and I wish I could have done this, I wish I could have done that. I wish I could have corrected something in the past. Somebody hurt me so bad, and how can I forgive that person? Meditate in the divine I. Because down there or down here in this physical world. Consider men as blind. All have deviated from the divine eye. And anybody who has ears, who expands in the knowledge of the divine eye, will understand what it meant by Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. Okay? That is the Father consciousness. The eye, the divine eye, is the Father. And with that knowledge, all sins are forgiven. All are forgiven and all are healed. In the knowledge of the divine eye, I remember the brotherhood. I remember the morning star. I remember the union that we all have from the beginning. When in unison we shouted with joy. When in unison we created the foundations of this world. All these are brought back to light. See, remembrance comes and all offenses cease to be. Okay, with the meditation of the divine eye, everything around me is made alive and healed. And I receive the joy, the fullness of joy, and the all power in heaven and earth is rediscovered once more. It's rediscovered once more. I use that word rediscovered because nothing is ever taken away from a man. Okay, a man simply loses knowledge of the divine eye when he sleeps in this world that we live in. But by your meditation, by your remembrance, remember the word, do this in remembrance of me. Do this in remembrance of me means do this in remembrance of I. It's a continuous fellowship in the light, okay, that provokes an awakening to the divine I that I am. Okay, and spontaneously I sit on the throne and I rule over all in the knowledge of divine I. All things are possible with the divine I. Okay? An I that has ascended back into this knowledge through meditation, through remembrance. All things are positively possible because I am here. So everything we do has to be a meditation, a remembrance. Even when you attain to some measure of the resurrection, when you attain to some measure in this divine revelation, you do well to keep yourself in it. Meditate yourself in it. Keep your garments. Okay, this covering of this knowledge, keep it forever. This is what will sustain you and keep you throughout all eternity. Lots of love.